What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah with Sirens Books, and today we're doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I wasn't tagged in this, but I figured why not? You'll get a good idea of the books that I like and the books that I've loved so far this year. So let's just get into it. So the first question is going to be, what is the best book I've read so far in 2023? So my favorite book, and I really hate to do this, has got to be Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I don't actually need to say anything on this book, right? It's on every single social media platform. If you're a part of the booktube community, you've probably seen it absolutely everywhere. I really loved some of the elements in this book. It's the type of genre that I always like to read. It's fantasy. It's got a magic system. There's a lot of banter and some sarcastic comments, particularly on the part of a dragon. That is probably my favorite book so far this year. So the second question is, what is the best sequel that I've read so far in 2023? So I actually have two. The first is going to be The Ballad of Never After. I absolutely love this book. I actually didn't read it until I believe March of this year. And I didn't, like, for no particular reason. It's just there's a lot of other books out there to read. So I just didn't get a chance to pick up Once Upon a Broken Heart and then The Ballad of Never After until pretty far after the release. But that book was absolutely exceptional. I loved the character dynamics between Jack and Evangeline. That was one of my favorites. My other favorite sequel was actually the completion of the trilogy for the Bone Shard daughter, which was the Bone Shard War. This book was everything that I was looking for in the finishing of a series. The second book, Bone Shard Emperor, is probably one of my favorite books of 2022. But the Bone Shard War actually answered all the questions that were left open. We got some reunification of some characters, and I love the conclusion. It tied up all the loose ends, and the ending was absolutely perfect. I loved this series. If you're looking for a fantasy book, I really highly recommend this, but fair warning, there is no romance in this book. So if you like your fantasy books with a side of romance, this is not necessarily the series for you, but it is very good. It was one of my favorite fantasy series of all time. The next question is, what is my favorite reread of 2023 so far? That's actually got to be A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I started rereading Throne of Glass in late June, early July. One of my really good friends, and you'll have seen her on Bessie Book Chat, started reading the Throne of Glass series, so I wanted to do a reread. And then with Crescent City coming out in January, I figured that given everything that's going on with the series, I wanted to actually do a reread of everything SJM has written. So I actually did the audiobook for this one. It was the graphic audio, so it was like the movies playing in your head. Just because it was available through the library, I thought it was fun. I've actually read this book, I believe, twice already, but I did listen to the audiobook in June and really enjoyed it. I thought the audiobook, the graphic audiobook, was really cute. The next question is what genre I've been loving that I've been reading lately, and I'm not sure that this is a specific genre. It's a subset of like the romance genre, but I absolutely have been loving small town cowboy romances recently. Specifically, I started reading Elsie Silver's Chestnut Spring. Started that in March with Flawless, and have just been loving all of the like little stories or all the different books that have been coming out since. So that is probably one of my favorites. I just finished Done and Dusted in July, which was just a super cute, another small town romance. And I definitely feel like I'm in my small town cowboy sweet romance era. What is a new release that I have not read yet but want to? So that's got to be the book I've been hearing about nonstop, which is Divine Rivals. I've also been really looking forward to reading Curse of Saints. I just haven't gotten to them. I have Divine Rivals is actually on Kindle Unlimited, so I have it downloaded. I just haven't gotten a chance to start it since I have so many other books that I'm reading currently. But I'm really excited to get into that one because I've heard so many great things. Next question is, what is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I actually have two. The first is going to be A Curse for True Love, which is, of course, the sequel to Ballad of Never After. I'm very excited to see how they're going to wrap up that trilogy, especially after the ending in Ballad and Never After. So that is one of my most anticipated releases. My other highly anticipated release for the second half of the year is going to be Iron Flame, of course. After the ending of Fourth Wing, we need to see what happens next. So I'm very excited to see where that story goes and how Violet and Xaden come back from that ending. So the next question is, what was my biggest disappointment so far in 2023? I gotta say it's probably gonna be Ready Player 2. Of course, this isn't a book that came out this year, but it is one that I read this year. I absolutely loved Ready Player One and was just so disappointed with Ready Player Two. It didn't have the same magic that the first one had. It really felt like a very, like, in my harshest criticism of the book is going to be that it just felt like a very soulless carbon copy of the original, and it just lacked a lot of the charm that the first book had. So that was my biggest disappointment. I just did not like that book. It didn't speak to me. It wasn't for me. So the next question is, what was my biggest surprise of 2023 so far? And that's got to be The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. I absolutely love the Devabad series, and I knew I was going to like this, but I was surprised at how much. This book was so much fun. It had basically from jump, you're just thrust into this world. It's like a pirate fantasy. It's just, it has wonderful pacing. I love the storyline. The ending was very sweet. It does seem like there are going to be some additional books of this, which I'm very excited about. But I knew I was going to like this. I was surprised by how much I liked this. This was easily a 5-star read. And it was, again, just so much fun. So the next question is, what was one of my favorite new to me or debut authors? So I have two for this one as well. The first one is Leigh, author of A Queen's Game. This is her debut novel. Look at this. Look at this floppy, beautiful book. This was so good. It kind of reads like a Game of Thrones. It's a high fantasy, high stakes. There's a lot of court politics. I really enjoyed this book. It is pretty long. It took me a while to read it. I finished it in January. It's one of my favorite books this year, but absolutely loved this. And this is her debut novel. It's absolutely fantastic. It doesn't read like a debut novel at all. She's also an indie author. Would highly recommend it to anybody who is interested in high fantasy. All the main characters in here are strong female leads. And I really liked the intricacies of the court, how they played into the characters' development throughout. It was an absolutely phenomenal high fantasy novel. Really highly recommend it. My second author is not a debut author, but it's a new to me author. It was Kennedy Ryan. I've read Before I Let Go in April. It's probably one of my all-time favorite romance books. It's definitely one of those books that you should check trigger warnings for, because there are some very difficult subject matter that they discuss. It's a second chance romance, but it's so beautifully done, and those characters are so well written. Like it'll break your heart, it'll heal you. It's just one of those books that like I read and it stayed with me, and it's such a phenomenal book with such phenomenal characters. So highly recommend both of those authors if you have not read them yet. The next question is the newest favorite character so far of 2023? That's got to be Terran from Fourth Wing. I really loved his witty, sarcastic remarks. He's actually a dragon, and he was a really fun character, so he's my favorite so far this year. Okay, so the next question is, what is a book that made me cry? The one that comes to mind's got to be Red, White, and Royal Blue. And it's this specific scene in that book where towards the end, oh, this is a huge spoiler, by the way, things feel very hopeless for Alex and Henry. And I believe they're in they're at Buckingham Palace, and again, it's a low point for those two characters, and it doesn't feel like they're going to get their happily ever after. And then they hear cheering out on the mall for them, and all of this like public support for their relationship, and it just like the roller coaster of emotions like just got me right in the feels, and I just absolutely loved that book, and that part specifically like made me tear up. The next question is, what book made me happy? Well, in addition to Red, White, and Royal Blue, that has to be the Chestnut Spring series, specifically Reckless, which is the most recent book that I read by Elsie Silver. That book specifically is so heartwarming. It is. Again, I'm in my cowboy romance era, so you got to forgive me here. But that book made me really happy, especially the ending. It was so cute. So the next question is, what is the most beautiful book that I've bought so far in 2023? I am a subscriber to Fairy Loot's book-only adult fantasy box, and one of the books that they sent me this year was The Foxglove King, and I'll show it to you. This book is so pretty. It's got the flowers on there, and the sprayed edges are so gorgeous. Absolutely love this book. And then underneath, I really loved the foil inside, and then the detail along the spine. This is my favorite special edition that I've bought so far this year. It's so pretty. The next question is, what books do I need to read by the end of the year? So my goal, and I mentioned this before, is to do a reread of SJM's complete catalog. So far, I've read up to Queen of Shadows and the Throne of Glass series. I'm currently doing a tandem read for Empire of Storms, which I'll finish this weekend. And then I got, of course, Kingdom of Ash to go. I started rereading Court of Mist and Fury, but I'm doing that one on audiobook, another graphic audiobook. And I'm trying to get through the other two Crescent Cities by the end of this year before the release of Crescent City 3. So those are the books that I'm trying to read this year. And then the next question is, what was one of my favorite posts or videos that I did this year? I'll answer this in two parts. So my favorite photo that I posted on Instagram this year was a picture for A Court of Silver Flames. And I think I just got the lighting and the coloring and everything looked really pretty. It's just a photo that I really liked. And one of my favorite videos I did was actually with my best friend Veronica for Bestie Book Chat. We've gotten together a couple times so far this year, but my favorite has got to be the Fourth Wing video that we did, just because we had both we have a really hard time concentrating and focusing in on a specific book. So there are a lot of bloopers and outtakes that didn't make it onto YouTube, but it's just fun. Like, filming with her is always fun. So that's probably one of my favorite videos that I did this year. But I've only done like 3, so it's a small pool. And then the last question I have is some of my favorite community members on BookTube. So I am, again, very new to the community. I just started subscribing to a few new individuals, but a special shout out to Lachlan with Lachlan's Library. I actually met her through Instagram before she started her BookTube, and then kind of followed her over here. She's one of the most supportive community members on both apps. She's just such a kind and genuine person. I love her to death. Some other people that I found on BookTube specifically that I've really been enjoying their content. Courtney with Ravenclaw Reads. I really like her updates and her reading vlogs. Those are always fun. And then also special shout out to Taylor with Taylor Marie Reads. She was actually the one that inspired me to do this video, and I used her template for the questions to answer all of these. So thank you, Taylor, for inspiring me to do this video. All right, so that's all I have for you. This was the mid-year book freakout tag. Thank you so much for joining and for watching. If you made it this far in the video, just leave a book emoji in the comments. And if you have any questions, please let me know. But other than that, I really hope that you can join me again for more videos in the future. Bye.